Patty Castro.
I'm Janie O'Grady, and we're here with
Ryan
to do an interview on self-defense. Okay, so how did you get into self-defense?
I've always been interested in martial arts, so I've been training for probably 40 years. I was a police officer for almost 20 years, so obviously I use martial arts in police work. One sort of distinction, Fiona mentioned it when she came in, so we don't say self-defense. If you ask someone to defend themselves, what's the imagery that pops into your head?
Like you were inflicted.
Like you're kind of cringing or reacting to some kind of stimulus that you were not aware of that maybe perhaps should have been. So we say self-protection because it's a proactive mindset. It's you're sort of aware and sort of responsible for you and what's going on around you and sort of seeing things before they happen. So it's just words matter, right? Thoughts, words need sound.
Okay, so would you say that self-protection is worth it? Like these classes pay off?
They absolutely pay off. I mean, it's from, whether or not you ever need to actually protect yourself or protect, a friend or a loved one. But they also instill, sort of that sense of confidence and the sort of the strategies and tactics, if you will, of combat are the same as you would apply to a job interview or an interview like this or something else. You can take the same skill sets that you learn, the emotional, psychological skill sets, and apply them to many other facets of your life.
Okay, so would you say how many people, do you have like a bunch of people coming in here regularly?
So primarily our biggest demographic is kids. We start at like 3.5. So 3.5 up to say 5th grade, 6th grade is our largest segment. But we train everyone from adults in sort of fitness-oriented kickboxing. We call it combat conditioning. So people that don't want to necessarily learn a martial art or learn how to fight, but using martial movements to get fit. So we train those twice a week. We have an adult Kali class. So Kali is the foundational art of what we teach here. It's a Filipino-based martial art. So it's very blade centric. Short blades, long blades, swords, that sort of thing, knives. But it has everything, every kind of weapon. You see them on the wall. There's bull whips, bow and arrow, sticks, empty hands. So twice a week we have that class. It's an adult class, and it's a 2-hour-long class, and it's done the traditional way I learned it, which is, it's not necessarily what your average person that's not really into martial arts wants to sign up for, because it's pretty tough. It's pretty demanding. You get banged around a little bit.
So would you say that self-protection and martial arts are like the same thing, or do you teach different classes then? Like, is martial arts your definition of self? Okay.
They're different. Martial arts to me is kind of like, and specifically Kali is like, I don't know, it's my religion, if you will. It's where I get my ethos from. It's the study of this specific art and every facet of it. So it's really that whole, as cliche as it is, when you're studying martial art, it's about the journey, not the destination. So, at this point, I'm what's called a Tuhan. It's a Tagalog term. It means master level. But you kind of never stop learning until the day you sort of, shuffle off this mortal coil. If you're learning self-protection, you're not willing necessarily to dedicate years of training. You don't need to. Really, I mean, the biggest part of self-protection, there's lots of cool skills you can learn that are easy to learn, that are super effective, but really the most important thing is your brain and how aware are you, right? So being aware of your surroundings, being aware of not just what's going on around your environment, but how do you affect your environment? How does your behavior affect how people relate to you or see you as a victim or not a victim, an easy target or not a target kind of thing. So we focus heavily on that. We do that with the kids too. So we have another program called Street IQ, and that's obviously, as the name indicates, it's trying to sort of educate suburban kids who wouldn't necessarily have exposure to urban environments or an opportunity to really build street smarts and try to instill that. So we have that with the little guys. Like they walk onto the mat, they have to look left, right, left before they come onto the mat. The idea being, obviously, look both ways before you cross the street. But for us, and for as a SWAT officer, you never enter any space, whether inside or outside, without being able to visually sort of assess as much of it as possible before you enter it. So we teach those skills. It's all part of all the curriculum, whether we're teaching kids or we're teaching adults. We've taken the Street IQ material and sort of weave it through our entire curriculum. And relative to the martial arts thing, so that warrior ethos, we sort of phrase we talk about, we train for 30 years and most fights are over in like 30 seconds. If you ever have one. So, we'll train 30 years for a 30-second event so that we can live another 30 years. And that's kind of the theory.
Do you have any more questions, or?
Well, I was gonna say, would you say there's like a big impact of knowing ways to protect yourself in situations where you're like extremely stressful situations, like an assault, or like preventing situations like that where you're
Are there advantages or
Yeah.
better things than other things or something?
Yeah, is there stuff
Like, is there a best way to protect yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, awareness. Like you're like seeing things happening before they happen. Sort of having protocols. When I say protocols, it's like in science there are protocols. So crime, violence is formulaic. It's a formula. Everything has a formula, right? So no one's going to materialize out of thin air here and try to attack us or rob us, whatever it may be. There's always red flags or pre-event indicators that if you know what to look for, you can see them happen before they happen. And being consistent with those protocols. Not like I do this some of the time, and sometimes I set my alarm, sometimes I don't, sometimes I lock the door, sometimes I don't. And predators, people not getting in a fight in school, but someone who's truly a predator, either a sexual predator or a violent predator. There are certain behaviors that they'll always exhibit. There are certain verbal clusters that they always use. It's just what they do, and having hunted them for a big part of my career was working as an investigator, working in special operations unit where we strictly targeted sexual predators. So it's not, I'm not guessing at what they do. I know what they do. I know what they say, and we sort of, when we do presentations, we'll highlight sort of the top 5 or 6 things they say. So things like if we're in, we're Panera, run into each other, and it's kind of odd for me. I'm a 51-year-old guy, but if it's someone close to your age, or even could be someone my age, but I say to someone like you, like, hi, you'd never talk to somebody like me. So what did I just say about you? If I say you probably wouldn't talk to someone like me.
maybe like an experience or just,
right? Or in that I'm kind of in a very subtle way saying you're stuck up, you're judgmental, you probably think you're too good for everybody else, and particularly for females in our society, is that okay? No, right? It's so now the reality is your subconscious and all these, kind of your gut's telling you, that hair on the back of your neck stand up saying like, creeper, creepy guy. But instead of listening to that, in order to disprove that you're not stuck up and you're not judgmental, you'll now talk to me and engage me more than you probably would have, because you're trying to dispel my belief. And especially if I say it, and predators will say it loud enough that people around you can hear, because they're all kind of going like, oh wow, she's kind of a big, like, hey, she's like judging that poor guy, So you'll engage in behavior like allowing me closer to you or talking to me more than you would have ordinarily, and it's purely a manipulation, right? It's called typecasting. So I typecast you with something, and these are things predators use. Kind of like, what grade are you guys in now? Ninth. Okay. So you're not really there yet, kind of thing. But when you're starting to date and get dropped off at home and those kind of things, the guy that drops you off and says like, oh hey, and this would particularly apply if nobody's home or something like that. Hey, let me come in for just a minute. I just want to get a drink of water. I promise I'll leave. Okay, well, they don't live there, so of course they're going to leave. And why would you have to promise somebody something that's a given? So right there, they're trying to really sell you on that idea. So their plans for the evening are completely different than yours, just by them saying that. So sort of looking for these like little red flags. Them alone are not bad, but when you start to get them together, charm is another big one, right? So we all use charm with our friends, with our teachers, try to get a good grade, that kind of thing. Charm is not a character trait, and it's not inherently bad. it's a manipulation. That's exactly what it is, to try to get what I want, right? So all these things are part of specifically our training here, and that's kind of what makes us unique, is that there's a lot of great martial artists out there who teach, great martial arts, and they know some really good skills, but and they'll do things like rape defense classes, that sort of thing. But unless you've ever been a predator, which I hope haven't been a predator, you're like having martial arts school, or you've been the person tasked with hunting them, trying to figure out how they think, you don't truly know. So that's sort of what you get from, obviously I'm biased from our place, but from training in this kind of thing, you see that you're forced to look at the other side of things. You're forced to look at yourself as a victim and go, where am I vulnerable? What things do I do that make me susceptible to crime or violence? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
In a long-winded way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then one last question. This is for basically the topic of our project. Do you think Radnor high schools, or just high schools in all around the U.S. would benefit from just a self-protection unit?
Absolutely. I mean, it should be like part of the curriculum. Like once upon a time, back in like the 40s and 50s, there was and it's perhaps a bad example in this day and age, but it's the closest thing I can think of. So there used to be gun clubs, gun classes. So like every kid in the school learned riflery, learned how to shoot guns, that kind of thing. Kids you'd carry your rifle to school with you on the bus.
Oh my God.
And it was like there were no school shootings, like nothing bad happened. So it's this obviously there's been a cultural shift, a paradigm shift. But absolutely, I mean, if you feel like you've learned like some of the things touched on here, where it's awareness, or now I just kind of touched on a couple things from behavioral sort of cues and verbal cues that you guys just learned in 5 minutes. You're now more aware, right? So sooner or later, you're going to encounter that, or you're going to hear a friend, and you're going to be like, right? So you've now gotten safer, and then you, in turn, share that with a friend, and sort of that's the idea that it's the force multiplier. The more everybody knows, not just from the physical skills, but the awareness skills as well, the safer our community is. So like if I could get, like my daughter Madeline's a good example. So she just started driving this year, and then she's finally able to drive by herself. But the deal was, okay, if you want to be able to use the car and go out at night and drive by yourself, you need to learn like sort of the consolidated like 3-hour thing. She's trained with me on and off over the years, but like it's not cool anymore, so she doesn't want to do it. I'm like, you're gonna be driving alone in a car, or you're gonna have like random people in the car with you. Like you need to have some skills. So we have a specific program that's specifically for how to protect yourself inside your car. And just that sort of those protocols. Now she's safer. I made all her friends go through it. Fiona does it. Fiona actually works here with me part-time. She's great with kids, but she's into it because she likes doing it. She's very physical, but she also, she makes money, so she's happy to do it too,